In this video, we'll learn about plotting in MATLAB, and this is maybe the simplest command that we could use is the plot. So this is just plot, and the x or whatever this will be the vector that you with the values in the x-axis, and make sure both the number of values or for x and y should have the same length. So if you look at this example here, we can plot intensity with the distance, and if you look at the number of values, I think each of them has 8 values, so they should have the same length. And just by putting the command plot, and always the first variable is in the x-axis, and the second variable in the y-axis, and we will do this example in MATLAB. If you execute the plot, you will get a basic graph with no titles or labels. So it looks like this. So you can see there's no label for the x-axis or the y-axis, and also there is no title. So we will learn how to make it better by adding these title and the labels. And also we could make the line looks better. So we use something we call line specifiers, and there are 3 line specifiers, and you need to be familiar with these. So the first one is the style, and this is how you pick one of these common ones, like solid, dotted. You use the one of these 4 specifiers for different line styles. And we could change the line color. And again, if you need red, you put just the R, green, you just put the G, and so on. For blue is B, and for black is K. And these are the what we for different marker shapes. So you could use the X for X mark, or the O for circles, and the star for star, or the point. And we will try to apply all of these different specifiers in our graphs. So they are optional, so you could include one of them or the 3 of them, and in any order you like, so as long as you put them in quotation. So this is what you should always remember to do. So you could put a quotation, then you put a hyphen, and the R and the X, so that will give you a red line, red solid line with the X marks, or can just make it in any combination. These are the commands that we use for formatting the graph. So the title, and make sure to put that in quotation, and you put the title, whatever title you like to include. X label for the label of the x-axis, Y label for the y-axis. And if you have multiple lines or graphs in the same chart, then you have to use ligand, and you put them in the same order you draw them. So the first graph or line will be the label for the first label for the first graph, and the second for the second, and so on. So for our example here, you can see we could add specifiers. So this is a dashed line. So with these two dashes, R means we need the color of the line to be red, and we need the markers to be star. So these are what you do them. And again, you could put these in different order as long as you keep them in quotation, and they should be. So the first will be the X, whatever the X, so the intensity, and then the second variable is for the y-axis, and the specifiers are next. And then you put the title, and again we could format, change the font size, font type. We will learn this later. We could make it bold or italic, so we'll learn how to do this later. And then the X label and the Y label. And again, always remember to put that in quotation because that's the text. And you can see that these are the labels. In some cases, we like to show two different lines or curves in the same graph. You do it the same way, like x1, y1, the specifier. So this is the first set for the first curve or first line, comma, then you put the second set for the second line, and always you put the x-axis, the y-axis, and the specifiers. And you could add more if you like this would be x3, y3, and the specifiers for the third line. As long as each set should have the same length, like x1 and x2, both should be the same length, the same thing, but they could be different than the length of x2 and y2. And yeah, it's a good idea to have different specifiers. Like in this example we did, if we have two sets of data, then we could have two different lines. And to make them different, maybe like what you see here, we could change the line style, like dots and dashes, then the line color. Like in this case, we have red, one of them red, and the other is blue. And for this one, for the marks, we have a star, and for the other one, there is no marks. So that will look like this. So you can see we have both of them, and it's easy for you to see that the two different lines. And since we have two of them, now we could use we learn another command. We call it the ligand here, and again the first one refers to the first set. The second will refer to the second set, and also we could change where we want the ligand to appear. So this will be south east, which is that angle here. If we want it here, then that will be north west, and so on. If you like to add text, there is a command called text. Just put the text, and you start with the coordination for that, like wherever you want it to start, like 3, 3. So it starts here. Then you put the text that you want to write in quotation. Let's look at some examples in MATLAB. So this is the same example we saw on the slide, how to use the plot. So this is, again, the first variable for what we want to be in the x-axis, the second variable for what we want to be in the y-axis. And if you look at the vectors for the x and y, they should have the same number of elements. And that's the plot. And if we run that section of the command, so this is what we got here. And you can see there is no title, no x-axis, no y-axis, no markers for the markers. So we have to add specifiers to make it look better, and we add titles. So let's make some improvement to that. So now you can see we added specifiers so that we want the line to be dashed. So this is you put the two dashes there, so the line is dashed, and we want it to be red. So this is the R, and we want the marks to be in stars. And then we added a title, and this is the title. We added the X label and Y label, and let's run it and see what do we get there. So you can see now, so you can see a red color for the line, star for the marks, and the line is the dashed line. And this is the x-axis, the label for the x-axis, and then there is a title, and there is a label for x-axis and y-axis for the labels. Okay, so in this example, we want to have the two curves on the same graph. So we use the plot, and you can see this is the first set with its formatting, and then the second set with its identifiers. And since we have both in the same graph, we can use the same title, the same label for the X and Y axis, but we need to add the ligand. So the first, in the ligand, the first item refers to the first set, and the second item refers to the second set. So when we run, and you can see now we have both of them, both lines, and with the ligand for them, and including the title, the y-axis, and the x-axis. And we could change them. And again, you could make any changes if you like. You could change the labels, like for square, and you can see now it changed to square for the marks for the first one. You put S. So this is the first method of adding multiple lines to the same graph using the plot, the first set, the second set. Another way of doing that, we could do the first set, then we use a command hold on, so that will allow the plot to stop. Then we put the second command. So let me show you how it will look like. So you draw the first graph with labels and everything, then you use the command hold on, and then you put the following graphs. When you are done, you could keep adding more graphs. When you are done, you just put the command hold off, and you will get exactly the same results like putting a plot with multiple sets. So let's run that, and you can see it's identical to what we got from the other methods, mainly just using the hold on. If you don't put the hold on, then it will delete. The second plot will replace the first plot, so we only see one plot. We will see later if we want the graphs to be in different figures, then we could use a figure there, but in this case we will have each curve in separate figure. Like in this case, we can see here figure 1. If you remove hold on and we add figure, then the first curve will be in figure 1, the second curve will be in figure. A third method to add different curves or lines to the same graph figure is to use a line. So we could use the plot in the first for the first curve, then we could use line for the second and third. But for this one, for the specifiers, we have to use the name of the properties, like line style, and then we put followed by the style, then the color, the line color, followed by the color, and the marker style followed by the marker. So you have to specify the name of the specifier followed by its type. Everything else looks the same. And if we run it, and you can see we are getting the same. So we have we can draw multiple graphs in the same plot using 3 different methods. So it's up to you. So this is kind of your choice. So then if you want the graphs to be in separate figures, then you have to use the figure. So if you don't put that figure, then the second graph will replace the first graph. So by doing that, so mainly here we have the first graph in a figure, then by putting a figure, it's like we are asking for another empty or new graph, then we put the second graph on the second one. Then if we have a third one, we have to ask for a new figure so that the previous one is not replaced. So by doing this, we will get 2 separate figures, and each of them will have a number, like figure 1, and this will be the figure 2. Let's run it. So you can see we got 2 graphs here, mainly because we are using a figure here. So that's so it depends on what you want. So if you need to have both curves in the same figure, then you have to use hold on. If you need if you want the graphs to be in separate figures, then you have to use the figure, which mainly creates each of them in the same graph. If you forget to do that and you do the second one, then you only get the last one, because the first one will, the second one will replace the first one. We also could divide the same figure into multiple graphs, so we could make it like two graphs in the same figure, or whatever. You could put two in the same line. So this is kind of the same, the number of columns, the number of rows. This is the number of columns. Like in this case, I have 2 rows, 1 column, so I'll have 2 graphs in the same figure. And this will be the labels for them. So this will be graph number 1, graph number 2. So that's mainly, we could add multiple plots in the same figure. So let's run this and see how it works. So you can see it here. So that could be another application. So you can see that's mainly the 2. We have two rows. We have 1 column. So we could do like 2 and 2. We could have four plots in the same. And as I said, we could make changes to the format. Like in this case, you put that backslash, and you could change the font name. You could change the font size. You could also make it bold. So as I did here, just some examples here. You could make it italic, like what I did for the unit here. So these are ways you could format your graphs so it can look better by changing the font name, font size, making it bold or italic, or also you could change the color. So that's mainly, make your graph more appealing.